Hey everyone, Drew here, and a few weeks back I released a video describing what the best possible arena team looks like right now, based on data and of course with 20 SSR characters. But I got some great feedback suggesting to also do this kind of thing in a more limited approach to be more applicable for newer players or F2P. So in this video we will try to build a top arena battalion with just 8 SSR characters, just enough to fill a story team with. And afterwards we will check if this team is able to punch up in the arena. Okay, let's get started with the starters, and first up we take Earth Musha. Hi. And she is number 1 in my latest SSR world rankings for a reason. This Earth stealth unit is really a force to be reckoned with. She has the stealthy vengeance, so whenever someone from your team dies, she gets stealth, she gets enraged, and she produces 1 spirit. So that's a really nice combo in itself. And even more importantly, she has the stealth fury hitting 2, and that means she can go beyond guards and is basically a menace for Storm Alminas and Dark Genes that you sometimes still encounter in first platoons. But yeah, overall in all, really good unit. She has the Assassin Strain as well, which heals her really nicely, and that gets unlocked very often because it just needs her to activate stealth. So yeah, all in all, easy pick for the start. And we also take another stealth unit, which is Water Snow White. She has the counter skin going for her, and she has a more similar skill set to Storm Elmina, but what helps her is that on the one hand she's not Storm, so she's not so susceptible to Earth Musha attacks, and on the other hand she has this counter skin, so if she survives she's good. And she has the Deadly Sleep passive, which means whenever she kills an enemy, another random enemy will get sleeped. Is that the right word? I don't know. But yeah, all in all, great combo here. Of course, there's still some danger because she doesn't have hold ground, so a very strong attack can wipe her out, but at the start she's kinda okay-ish. Also very susceptible to time strikes if they can reach her, but yeah, all in all, also very good combo. And as we have Earth Musha to take care hopefully of enemy storm units, she should be surviving well as well. And for our third pick we also take another water unit, and that is Water Colon. And she's kind of an all-rounder really. Initially when she was released the reviews were mixed. She wasn't fish nor meat, as we would say in German, but ever since it came to light that she can truly shine, combining a lot of good abilities. I mean, she has the Hold Ground Plus, so there's already some survival inbuilt, and she also has a Flip Sleep after the Hold Ground Plus, which means she can sleep an enemy, and that could also help our Water Snow White, who could take advantage of that sleeping enemy. And she also has a Spirit Loot passive, which means whenever an enemy dies, we produce another spirit. So that is really helpful, because if she stays alive for a while and Earth Musha and Water Snow White or herself do some kills, we also get some spirit to do some more of those. And on the active side, she also is very interesting. Besides the also already mentioned Flip Sleep, we have a Sleep Attack, which attacks 2 and has a certain chance that the enemy falls asleep, so another potential source of sleep there for Water Snow White. And on the other hand we have very good the Imposter, basically switching a unit on the enemy team with an imposter that first needs to fall asleep, or, you know, unless it gets killed first, but yeah, it can only fall asleep, and then when it wakes up, it can self-destruct. But what this basically means is that the enemy team will be fighting with only 3 units for a while, and she tends to set back guards as well, so they might be out in the open for Water Snow White, Earth Musha to attack. And yeah, so all in all, really great skill on that Sleepy Imposter skill, or I think it's called Sleepy Sabotage. And the last skill is Savage Force, which also hits 2 very strongly, and that isn't a bad skill either, because she can easily unlock it. She usually kills the first imposter she brings into the game, which I personally don't like so much, but yeah, all Savage units have a real hate boner on the imposter, which I guess is a bit of a balancing thing with the AI, but all in all, yeah, not really necessary in my eyes to kill it so quickly. But I'm getting off track here. Water Column kills usually an imposter and then already has this Savage Force unlocked and has a very strong skill at her disposal. Now, which unit comes next? Here we have kind of this break. I can only pick 8 very strong SSR units, and I think the best way to utilize these first 3 units that we have here is to make a guard train. And while this guard train usually would contain some SSR guards, this time that will be limited. For example, I won't use Lightwood Miller, which I haven't leveled much. Of course, she would be nice to use even at 1 copy with the 100% auto guard and hold ground, but we are limited to 8 SSRs here, so we have 12 non-SSRs in this arena team, and what we will do there is take a lot of guards. So let's find us some good ones, and I'm just gonna put them up here now and later change the order to make it a bit more synergized. But let's go to the SR section, and we have Olive here, which is a really good auto card. Has the 60% chance of taking a hit, and she also has the hold ground and potentially a life flip for an ally. So all in all, pretty good stuff. Also a blood turn, but that won't be that relevant in my team. Here we also have Gemina, who isn't... Wow, she's talking a lot. Who isn't an auto guard, but she has a stun entry, which is quite nice. And so this is kind of a trade-off here. She can guard an ally, but or become a 100% guard, but she isn't one right from the get-go, but she gives a stun right from the get-go. So still a good alternative option. Then we have Dairyu, who might just be the very best SR guard. He is an auto guard, and he has a hold ground, which means he can't easily die to 1 hit, and he has some support skills as well, so that means he could get off a very strong stun, although that costs a lot of spirit, or he purifies someone on your team, or he just attacks, or he even quickens an ally. So that's all very good options. He can't really do a lot of things wrong, even with the AI handling. Now the next unit isn't a guard, it's Greta, but she is an SR that is really very good, and I have been using her for quite a long time before I got a sufficient number of super rare characters in my team. She has some decent hate on her, so I think she can act as a pseudo guard, and she also has hold ground. She can stun the enemy. She can also life flip one of your allies, and she can do Pain Spirit, which is also nice because that is something that could also help the team when it is low on spirit. Then we have Lilian, the fire auto guard. A nice feature of her is that she summons automatically a Mori when entering the field. If she survives for a while and gets a turn actually, then she could do Absorb Stun, which is nice, or do a Blood Burn, which isn't that nice, but at least it produces some spirit just as Absorb Stun. So not a bad skill set on her either. Then we have Baldruk, who is my profile picture. Unfortunately, he's not a really good character, but still decent. The problem here is, just as with Gemina, that he isn't an auto guard, but rather actively has to activate his guard. At least he has some decent speed, but he is lacking the stun entry that Gemina has as a plus. On the other hand, he does have a life flip, so that's cool. He can purify some allies if that is needed. And of course he has hold ground. But yeah, all in all, a few drawbacks, but still a decent skill set. The main drawback really is that he can't just guard from the get-go and might not activate it if the AI is acting funny. Okay, who else do we have? Ah yeah, Esma, of course. Esma, great auto guard, especially in a stealth team. Why is that? Because she has the stealth spirit entries, so based on how many stealth units you have on the field when she enters, she produces 2 additional spirit per stealth unit. So really good. Unfortunately, other than that, she only has an auto guard without hold ground, but still good, and she can also grant stealth to an ally if that is needed. She could also potentially give a turn, so not a whole lot of things that could go wrong using her. Of course, she has Quicken, and that is only quickening herself. That is kind of a waste because, I mean, she is a guard and will die rather quickly, so if she gets a turn and does Quicken, then it is a bit of a bummer, but yeah, it can't. You will rarely find a perfect SR unit. We still need 5 more non-SSRs. Let's see where the journey takes us. Seeing Endless Paladin here gives me a thought. I could use him as well. He has the poison skin, he has the hold ground, he has potentially an absorb stun, or rather poisoning just some enemies. But the problem here is he could do some poison devours and stuff like that, which you wouldn't want him to do. And of course, the main thing is he isn't an auto guard, so he isn't necessarily hit and might survive longer than I would like him to. Instead of drawing hits to him, kind of losing my SSRs in the game. But I'll keep him in mind for now. Let's see, maybe we will switch him out later. And let's continue on, and we have Tobias here, who is arguably one of the best SR guards as well. And why is that? Oh wow, also a very talkative guy. He has a stun absorb on him. He is an auto guard and he is a stun absorber also automatically, obviously, so he comes on the field, and if there's some stuns happening while he is on there, he draws all of them to himself and then just dies rather quickly. His active skill set isn't too bad either. If he actually gets the turn, he has the attack 2, he has attack all, and he has pull back, which I think he is the only one with that skill in the entire game. And he also has a gift turn, which is also a nice one. And we also have Shanafat, which is a burn auto guard. The thing with this guy is he is an auto guard, but from his skill set, he is kind of meh. He usually ignites first, I think, which costs spirit and doesn't have any real support skills except the auto guard, obviously. So not that great. I mean, he was usually the go-to pick for crisis teams back in the day. Kind of a great opening because he has very high speed, can immediately ignite himself and bring spirit down somewhat. And also, I mean, he has some strong attack capabilities, but in the age of Evertale 2.0, we don't really utilize that in the SR and R guards because leveling them is costing way too many resources. I think I'm going on a tangent here a bit, but this is actually something that would have been quite nice, I think, from a development perspective, if they changed how many resources it costs to upgrade different rarity levels of characters. There is already a level cap which is keeping them lower than, you know, SSRs, so you can only upgrade the SR guards, for example, to level 180. So it would be cool if we could upgrade that for cheaper, maybe less green pots or even no green pots and lower character experience, maybe more gold, whatever. But yeah, that would make it certainly more interesting and give a bit more chance to the SR units. Even if you already have 20 SSR units, then some of these might still be good picks, which even in the current system they still are, I have to say, as I would still pick some of the units that I'm picking now here from the SR guards over some of the SSRs that I have. But let's get back to the topic at hand. Already taking quite a while. Who else do we have who has some potential? We only need 2 more units pretty much. We do have Miriel here, but she's not an auto guard and that's too big of a drawback. But we do have Jovin, and he's certainly a good pick. I also used him a lot back in the manual PvP days. We do have Thundering, which isn't actually that bad of a pick because of his conditional stun entry and his stun revenge, but the stun revenge here is kind of acting against him because we would actually like him to be killed, but the stun revenge is kind of deterring the AI from attacking him. And then we also have Eves as a potential option because he's a stun absorber, but yeah, not in this F2P arena battalion now, but he could be a decent pick. I mean, if you want to see more of him, you can always check out the Elemental Challenge videos where I actually utilize this guy. I just realized I forgot, or rather skipped over, an SR guard, and that is Seshua, who is not an auto guard, and that is basically why I can't use him in combination with his speed, which is very low, so it will be a while before he actually gets a turn and could activate his guard. And then there's also some other drawbacks, like him potentially attacking with a Dream Drain, which recovers his HP, but the problem here is still that it would wake up the enemy, and I would rather have, if, you know, Water Snow White is still around at that time, have her do all the attacks on sleeping targets. Ethrodon is another option because he has a nice summon entry and in general a pretty decent skill set, especially his Quicken Ally could be nice. Okay, let's put him in for now and let's see if during team building his name comes up. But just in case, I'm gonna put in some other unit, and that is actually the Argard Volstruct, who is certainly a good pick. I also used him during my early manual PvP days. Not much to say about him actually. He's quite similar to Jovin. He is an auto guard without hold ground, but he can actually quicken an ally if he gets the turn. And yeah, there's not much that he can do wrong because he has the pain spirit as well. So he might just end up producing some spirit if he even gets the turn, which is rather unlikely because he has low speed and no hold ground. And then we actually have the lowest rarity, which has been kind of a top tip back in the days for your PvT team when, you know, cost was still an issue, and these two are very low cost. We have Needle Pest and Haunchroom. Both of them are auto guards and have some pretty nice skill sets. I mean, they are super slow, so they most likely just die anyways, but they could poison 2 enemies or just push back an enemy. So decent enough. I'm not sure if we're gonna use them here, but we might. No, I don't think so. Well, anyways, we have them for now. Let's see if we missed anyone. Gloria isn't the worst pick either, but nah, let's keep it as is now. And let's add our SSR characters. We still have 5 empty slots for them. And we are going to pick Brightlord Miller. I mean, I'm kind of on the fence on that, but I do still think she adds a lot of value in, even when we have, you know, auto guard alternatives. She's just a really, really strong guard that can actually keep the enemy at bay for quite a while with her Shield of Eldine, basically granting her immortality for quite a while, which is a nice feature for a 100% guard, and she can use it potentially twice or more. So yeah, I'm still gonna use her even with the restriction of just 8 SSRs, and I mean, she is still number 4 in my SSR world rankings for a reason, and has the highest usage there as well at 99%. Then we have a Dark Gene, who I'm also a bit on the fence about. She is still number 5 in my world rankings, but she is losing a bit of utility with all these stealth units being released, kind of absolutely denying her passive, which is the Michaela Revenge. And the thing about her as well is that she needs a while to get going, and the game has become a bit more fast-paced, so kind of this wait for her to unlock Survivor's Fury can already be too much, especially because it could just happen that she already dies before even unlocking it to a stealth attack. But all that said, she's still a very strong unit. She has this healing rage, she has the revenge passive. If it happens, then Michaela immediately comes in, stuns an enemy, produces some Moris, has some strong skills as well, and can revive Dark Gene again, and then starting the cycle again, which with the Survivor's Fury, you know, as an endpoint, with Rage, 750% damage to 2 enemies each. That's just a really convincing case still, but yeah, she is dropping a bit, let's put it like that. But for me, for my team that I'm building here, she's and for the options that I have available, she's still certainly a top 8 unit. Then we have the new unit Lancelot, where I go out a bit on a limb, I have to say. Don't have any data on her yet, but I do think she's one of my strongest 8 SSR units, and that's why I'm gonna put her in. I did an extensive review on her skills when she came out, so if you're interested in that, I'll link it in the description. But moving on, we also have another Storm Stealth character, which is Storm Almina, for a very long time, possibly the strongest character in Evertale, now still at number 2, but you know, with the Earth Musha meta being on the top, she is a bit struggling. But yeah, the very low AI hate really helps her. She can kind of clean up in the late game, hopefully for us. And at that point, I would hope that the enemy Musha is already dead. And as a last pick, I'm a bit torn, but I'm actually gonna do something a bit different. Instead of going with the next in the power row, which would be Dark Alice, I'm gonna go with Storm Antares, who is just still really great utility. She has the survival stun skin, so for the first 300 time units on the field, whenever she's hit by a non-stealth attack, she stuns all the enemies for 50 time units, which is already great in itself. But then she also has potentially a counter if she activates it, so if she gets hit and goes down to 1 HP because she has holds ground, then she can also, if there's enough spirit, use her Thunderheart, which is a very strong stun skill and recovers all her HP. And you know, cycling through that a bit could already make a big difference in the enemy against the enemy team. And yeah, thinking about it, I think she could potentially, for the team that I have in mind here with the 8 SSR limitation, make a bigger difference than Dark Alice, the kind of counter poison unit counterpart to her counter stun thingy. Alright, that already took way longer than I expected, but now we actually need to sort them, because only the first 3 units are at the spot where I want them yet. Okay, I'm actually gonna put Volstruct in the first 4 for now, because I want someone who can die very quickly in front, and she's basically the weakest unit among the R or higher guards. I'm actually having a bit of an identity crisis right now as to which of these units I'm actually gonna use and how, but let's just go ahead and wing it a bit. I think I'm gonna go with Olive in the 5th position. I want a strong auto guard there with hold ground, so taking potentially more than 1 hit. That could help, because I want Earth Musha to not have too many stealthy vengeances at once, so we're gonna mix it up a bit. Then we'll go with Esma, who should get us some juicy spirit when she comes in. Hopefully Water Snow White and Earth Musha will both be stealthed. Then she produces 4 spirit on the entry, but will also potentially die relatively quickly. Then we will take Yovin and have Dario next, the very strong SR guard. Then Tobias, who could absorb some stuns for us. Shanafat. Actually, let's have Shanafat a bit earlier, because I don't want his burn messing around too much. Let's get Brightlet Miller and Dark Gene. in here as well. Who could I leave out? It's a really tight race between Dark Paladin, Ethrodon, the Auto Guards, the non-Auto Guards. Really difficult, but the ones that I know I'm gonna use are Lilian, Greta, Gemina, Balchuk. And yeah, of course, Brightlight Miller and Dark Chain. Okay, maybe let's try this. We're gonna do Lilian next and then Gemina coming in with the stun and hopefully guarding, but just in case Balchuk is also coming in, so one of them at least should hopefully get their guard up soon. Let's just keep it as is for now and go on with our 4th platoon. Dark Chain after Brightlight Miller should play nicely, I think, and Greta should give some breathing room first, so I hope Watercolin gets her Flip Sleep at the latest in there already, because Brightlight Miller might mess with that, because if she hits Hold Ground Plus and Brightlight Miller does the Shield of Eldine, then Watercolin will just lose it. Dark Chain needs some time to unfold, and that is why some potential protection by Brightlight Miller isn't too bad. And next we will have Storm Elmina coming in, hoping that Earth Musha at this point is already dead. And then we put Storm Antares, and the nice thing about that is that she should draw some hate at that point, and so her survival stun skin should get triggered. Her hate is definitely higher than Dark Chain's and Storm Elmina's, but yeah, it's of course never too clear who can be on the field. And then maybe to wrap it up, we have Lancelot as a finisher. Still not sure about where her best position is, because she is susceptible with her very low speed to just be killed before she gets the turn, but as soon as she gets the turn and hopefully gets a kill, then she becomes really good. So not putting her in the front is a bit of a gamble in itself, but given that she's a bit of a mix of Storm Elmina and Mitsuchi, I think she could be a very good finisher as well, especially cleaning up a lot of Moris if we are already at this stage with the enemy. And then the last spot, I'll just let Dark Paladin keep it for now and have first a test play, I think, of how it actually plays out. I mean, he hopefully has a bit of hate there, so maybe taking away some attention from Storm Elmina and Dark Chain, who should be still alive. And his poison could take care of some hold ground units that Lancelot can't as easily swoop up. But yeah, maybe I'll switch it with Ethrodon later on. And let's see how the middle field plays out as well. Now I'm gonna put weapons on these characters, and then let's jump right into the Champions Arena to see how this limited battalion, limited to 8 SSRs, plays.
し負けるよ。
俺を置いていけ。
私が行く。これで終わりだよ。伝えなくちゃ。悪夢だ。
その目が育って
目を閉じて。私が行く。それ。このままで。気がなくなっちゃっただけでも。来てくれましたね。はい、止めますね。それ。えい。手の甲でそれを変えてみせる。私が行く。逃げて。守りますね。消えるわけには。まだ A メロだよ。こっちの番だよ。無撃です。私の全部奪わせて。下がって。響かなかったのね。無撃です。奪っちゃおう。私が悪い子だから。
もう少しだ。今日は
まさか。骨抜きになりなさい。ビリビリするよ。あと手の甲でそれを超えてみせる。すまない。重機最高。頑張らなきゃダメだ。立ちなさい。ひらめきそうなのに。力を貸す。守ってみせる。受けて。僕は苦手なのじゃ。騎士の意向よ、輝け。この力は正義の剣。終わりの終わり。これが私の限界。
暗い。
So, watching the first battle, I had to come to realize that Shana Fat actually only unlocks the auto guard after being limit broken once, and so as I'm not gonna do that, I'm just gonna bench him instead. And following that, we also need to change some orders and try a few things differently. Okay, let's give this a try.
広く花のように修行が肉だ。あなたに喜びをいいだろ。私がいないと首が黒いに回るかしら。絶対着ないから。あなたはどうぞ。急不足じゃったな。決めるよ。明かりは消えない。防御しなさい。
八つ咲きにしてやる。
行くよ。痛烈があふれる。見せて届かなかったのね。あなたの邪魔をするの。
俺を置いていけ。
目に初のくせに
才の芽が育っていく。
これでなくママを返して目にあなたを甘いです。消えてます。修行が不足かもです。私は止められませんよ。よそ見ていいからしなくちゃ。新脚行きます。いいのかしら。ちょっと羨ましい。ママはどこ？行く。私が死んでも誰も関心にしてない。会いたい。私にできる中なら。まだ曲は終わってないのに。頑張らなきゃ。終わりの時間です。正義の熱意です。私にも
守るんだ。
これで得意技だよ。生意気なやつ。時を奪います。ビリビリするよ。立ち去りなさい。やったー。この正義の剣。迷惑かけちゃったよ。輝け。違うじゃないですか。とっくに終わりの時間で戦ってたらアイデア飛んじゃった。
Okay, relatively satisfied with the results with this lineup, but let's do a few more changes. We will put Esma in the 5th position, just because I hope that Water Snow White and Musha have the highest chance of being in stealth mode at that time. The whole crowd is still not besides each other, so we have Olive and Dairyu a bit apart. We also need to move Greta, because I saw her guzzle some spirit and also potentially life flip Watercolin, who hit Hold Ground Plus, so that is not a very good AI move here. And yeah, about the last two I'm still not quite sure. I might need to arrange some changes here, but I haven't really seen them in battle so far, so that makes it a bit difficult to decide on their effectiveness. You know what? Let's give Miriel a shot. She actually has a higher speed than I remember. Gonna put Baltrug a bit sooner here. Let's see if that works out. Let's give this another roll. Okay, that's it for now. Might try at creating the best possible arena battalion with just 8 SSRs. We have Earth Musha, Water Snow White and Water Colin leading the charge, then 7 auto guards, then Baltrug as a guard, Lancelot coming in to fill up on the DPS front again. We have Gemina as another guard, Miriel as another guard, Bridlet Miller as another guard, then 3 more SSRs in Dark Chain, Storm Elmina and Storm Antares. And last but not least, we have Greta and Dark Paladin rounding out the lineup. I just finished watching some very entertaining and impressive fights of this lineup, but this video is already extremely long, so I'll upload those another time. I hope you found this video informative and can potentially implement some of the ideas shown here into your own battalions. To be honest, while this video was a lot of fun to make, it took me quite a bit longer than I expected and it turned out much longer. So if you watched it, I appreciate you a lot. Don't forget to like and subscribe to become a true carrot and join the fastest growing carrot field on YouTube. And as always, thanks for watching.